There is a hidden layer to human interaction that most men walk right past every single day, completely blind to the silent currents moving right beneath the surface. It revolves around a very specific, deeply buried type of attraction that a woman will never, under any circumstances, admit out loud. She will not confess it during late night talks with her closest friends. She will certainly never bring it up to her boyfriend. And there are times she will actively lie to herself just to deny its existence. This is the forbidden kind of desire. It is a raw, magnetic physical pull that hits her nervous system and floods her body before the thought even has a chance to reach her conscious mind. Long before her logic can step in to build a wall, enforce a boundary, or remind her of her commitments, her biology has already responded to your presence. This leaves her internally fractured, completely confused, and quietly, almost helplessly drawn to you in ways that defy every single rule she has set for her life. She cannot logically justify why she feels this way about you, which makes the feeling both incredibly terrifying and intensely powerful for her. The tragedy is that the vast majority of men completely miss these moments. They walk through life looking for grand, unmistakable gestures, expecting a woman to make the first move, flirt aggressively, or flat out confess her feelings. But a woman who has an image to protect, a social status to maintain, and a current relationship to preserve is never going to hand you an obvious sign on a silver platter. She has too much at stake to be reckless. Because she is actively trying to suppress what she feels, her true desires will never show up like they do in Hollywood movies. Instead, they leak out through the tightest cracks in her composure. Her attraction reveals itself in microscopic body language shifts, split second emotional slips, and brief, volatile windows of time where her carefully constructed guard drops for just 2 seconds, causing her to completely forget that she belongs to someone else. It is in these hyper subtle, unscripted moments that her real internal world is exposed to anyone who actually knows how to look. To be absolutely clear, pulling back the curtain on this dynamic is not about giving you a green light to play games, tear apart healthy relationships, or desperately chase after women who are completely unavailable. It is strictly about developing a raw, unfiltered understanding of human psychology exactly as it operates in the real world, stripped of all fantasy, sugarcoating, or moral judgment. The simple reality is that human chemistry does not check a moral rule book before it ignites, and primal desire does not stop to ask for permission from a person's logical mind. A woman can be deeply, genuinely committed to her partner on a mental and emotional level, yet still experience a fierce, involuntary, biological pull toward you when you enter her personal space. When this internal conflict triggers, her cognitive mind will try to rationalize her behavior, but her physical body will completely betray her logic every single time. Biology always speaks louder than social expectations. If you know exactly what to look for, these hidden reactions stop being invisible and turn into a clear trail of silent breadcrumbs, leading straight to her true feelings. Mastering this advanced level of psychological awareness completely changes how you navigate the social landscape. Instead of getting frustrated by mixed signals, feeling confused by hot and cold behavior, or accidentally misinterpreting casual friendliness as deep romantic interest, you begin to see the reality of the situation with absolute clarity. You stop guessing because you can finally read the room on a deeper instinctual level. This level of insight grants you a highly calibrated, calm, masculine power, a grounded perspective that allows you to observe the hidden tension without reacting impulsively, giving you total control over your own emotional investments while understanding exactly where you stand. Every single woman who is currently in a relationship walks through the world with an invisible, highly guarded emotional shield. This shield is her psychological defense mechanism built deliberately to protect her loyalty, maintain her commitment, and uphold the clean image she wants to project to society. She uses it to keep other men at a safe, predictable distance. But when a genuine forbidden attraction enters the equation, it behaves like an electrical current that this shield simply cannot handle. No matter how strong her willpower is or how dedicated she claims to be, This type of deep chemistry always finds the microscopic cracks in her defense mechanism. This brings us to the phenomenon known as the emotional slip. An emotional slip is the exact unscripted moment where her primal feelings completely hijack her logical mind for a fraction of a second. In that tiny window of time, her conscious control experiences a total blackout, leaking a massive level of internal curiosity and personal investment that she never wanted you or anyone else to find out about. You will first catch this slip happening in the rhythm of your regular conversations. You will be talking about something entirely casual, and suddenly she will fire off a deeply personal question about your private life, your weekends, or your individual motivations. The dead giveaway is the speed of her delivery. The question leaves her mouth just a little too fast, proving that her raw curiosity completely outran her sense of boundaries before her logic could filter it out. Pay close attention to her voice when this happens. Her vocal tone will instantly drop into a distinct low velvety softness. It is an intimate, warm frequency that is completely absent when she talks to her coworkers, her casual acquaintances, or people she views as strictly platonic friends. It is a tone reserved exclusively for a man who has managed to break through her mental perimeter and impact her on an emotional level. The fascinating part about the emotional slip is what happens immediately after the words leave her mouth. She will recognize what she just did almost instantly. She will realize that she let the mask slip, and you will watch her entire body language shift in real time as she goes into a state of quiet panic, trying desperately to pull her professional or platonic composure back together. She might clear her throat, sit up straighter, or suddenly change the subject to create distance, but it is already too late. The truth has escaped. Real, authentic attraction is completely impossible to stage or fake, which means her involuntary biological reactions will always scream the truth over her spoken words. You will see this when you tell a joke and she laughs with an unforced, completely organic ease that totally bypasses her conscious effort. Look closely at her eyes during these interactions. They will soften, widen, or take on a brilliant sparkle for a brief couple of seconds, before she realizes what is happening and forces herself to look away or harden her expression again. This hidden investment grows even more obvious in the way her memory tracks your life. A woman who is secretly drawn to you will regularly shock you by bringing up trivial minor details that you mentioned in passing weeks or even months ago. Things that were completely insignificant, things that you yourself completely forgot you even said. This happens because her brain has subconsciously filed your entire existence under a high priority category. She is actively collecting and storing data about you when she shouldn't be. When a woman takes the time to mentally file away your minor preferences, mirrors your emotional energy, and leans into your vibe without realizing it, she has already crossed a massive invisible line on the inside. Her conscious mind might still be playing the role of the loyal partner, and her mouth might still say all the right things, but her unfiltered emotions are already reaching out for you across the space, completely fracturing her logic from the inside out. Attention is the absolute truest currency of human desire, and it is a resource that a woman never, under any circumstances, invests by accident. In today's world, everyone is fighting for attention. But where a person naturally places their focus when they think no one is watching tells you everything you need to know about what they truly want. When a woman is secretly deeply into you, she completely loses the ability to manage her natural focus. Even if she is actively playing the part of the perfect loyal partner, and even if she is standing directly next to her boyfriend, her primal instinct completely overrides her willpower. You instantly become her silent, unshakable priority. The absolute second you step into the same room, she will begin tracking your movements instinctively, like a radar locking onto a target. Her face might stay totally expressionless, her body might remain completely still, and she may look like she is fully engaged in a conversation with someone else, but her underlying focus will constantly flicker right back to you. She will steal quiet glances and give you lingering, forbidden looks that she will immediately try to laugh off or disguise snorts as a total coincidence if she gets caught. But the dead undeniable giveaway is the sheer panicked speed at which she snaps her head away. The exact millisecond your eyes meet hers. That split second whiplash happens because her conscious mind suddenly realized she was staring at someone she shouldn't be staring at, exposing her hidden desire in real time. This happens because forbidden attraction completely hijacks a woman's selective attention system, rewriting her brain's daily priorities without her permission. She might be physically sitting right next to her partner, holding his hand and nodding along to his stories, but mentally she is completely detached and scanning the environment for you. The exact moment your voice enters the room, her entire physical energy tightens up. She will subtly adjust her posture, straighten her spine, or shift her weight because she has suddenly become hyper aware of the exact physical distance between your body and hers. Her brain will literally begin to filter out the rest of the noise in the environment just to isolate your frequency. She will easily hear your quiet laugh from all the way across a loud, crowded room before she even registers the words her own boyfriend is speaking right into her ear. She is no longer fully present in her relationship in those moments. She has subconsciously tuned into your channel and she cannot turn the volume down. Because of this intense internal focus, she completely transforms into a sharp, quiet observer of your entire world. She will instantly pick up on the absolute smallest, most trivial changes in your life that regular people would pass right by without a second thought. She will notice the exact day you style your hair slightly differently, the very first time you wear a new shirt or cologne, or the exact moment your baseline mood drops even a fraction of an inch. A woman who feels absolutely zero attraction toward you will treat you like background scenery. She will barely notice your presence and won't remember what you wore yesterday. But a woman who is fighting a forbidden pull experiences a total internal pause. The exact second you cross her threshold, the surrounding environment completely fades into the background for her, creating a silent, heavy gravitational alignment between the two of you that she cannot edit out, cannot fake, and absolutely cannot control. Women are absolute masters at masking their emotions with words. They can say all the right things, give polite answers, and verbally keep you at a safe distance, but their underlying physiology will always tell the absolute truth with a brutal, unedited honesty that they cannot control. The second a woman gets near a man she secretly desires, her logical brain is completely sidelined as her sympathetic nervous system takes over, causing an immediate involuntary spike in her internal emotional voltage. She cannot help it. When you step into her immediate space, her baseline changes completely. She will suddenly appear far more animated, highly sensitive to everything you say, and hyper alert to your every movement. This happens because her body is experiencing a sudden, intense cocktail of rushing adrenaline, subconscious guilt, and pure excitement. To stabilize this sudden rush of intense energy and keep herself from physically shaking or letting her emotions explode, her body will automatically start looking for tiny physical escapes. She will begin exhibiting classic subtle nervous behaviors that are designed to bleed off that extra tension. You will catch her fidgeting with her fingers, adjusting the rings on her hands, smoothing down her outfit, constantly checking or fixing her hair, or lightly touching the side of her neck. These are all completely unconscious comfort gestures, a physical venting system for the intense chemistry she is desperately trying to bury inside. This deep internal conflict between what she feels and what she knows she is supposed to do creates highly erratic, paradoxical behavior that completely confuses the average guy. Because she feels her body losing control, she will often swing violently between two extremes to overcompensate. On one hand, she might suddenly pull back out of nowhere, completely cut off eye contact, or act unusually cold, stiff, and dead serious around you. Most men see this sudden coldness and assume they did something wrong, or they mistake it for flat out rejection. But it is actually the exact opposite. That rigid stiffness is active suppression. She is internally freezing up because she realized her body language was giving away too much, and she is now working overtime to force her physical reactions back under lock and key. She is fighting a sudden wave of panic because her own biology just betrayed her in front of you. On the flip side of that exact same coin, she might try to handle that overwhelming nervous energy by going in the completely opposite direction. Instead of shutting down, she will attempt to drown out the underlying tension by becoming hyperactive, overly talkative, or laughing with exaggerated enthusiasm at things that aren't even that funny. She is trying to mask the intense, heavy vibe of attraction by painting over it with loud, casual friendliness, hoping you won't notice the frantic pace of her heartbeat underneath. But if you look past the noise, her biology will always expose the game. Most tellingly of all, the absolute dead giveaway is that her pupils will visibly dilate the exact moment she locks eyes with you. This is a primal, hardwired biological response that is completely impossible to fake, script, or manipulate through willpower. A woman can lie with her mouth all day long, and she can try to force her body to stay still, but she cannot stop her eyes from physically widening when she looks at a man she desires. Every bit of sudden physical awkwardness, every flash of rigid self control, and every sudden shift in her temperature is just a visible scar from the silent, violent war being fought inside her between her conscious loyalty and her primal instincts. Jealousy is one of the most powerful, raw, and completely unfiltered human emotions in existence because it strips away all politeness and exposes a person's truest desires against their will. It is a psychological mirror that cannot lie. If a woman has absolutely zero romantic or physical interest in you, she will never care who you spend your time talking to, who is laughing at your jokes, or which woman steps deep into your personal space. To her, you are just a platonic background character, so your romantic availability means nothing. But the exact second a woman begins experiencing a hidden forbidden attraction towards you, her brain completely rewires how she views the environment around you. She will start exhibiting a quiet, highly restrained, and deeply buried type of jealousy that she cannot logically defend, cannot justify to herself, and absolutely cannot openly express to the world. She is fully aware that she does not own you, that she has a partner, and that she has no right to feel possessive. Because she cannot risk her social reputation or cause a massive, embarrassing scene in front of her boyfriend, she is forced to swallow that spike of envy. Instead of exploding outward, her jealousy is forced to simmer directly beneath the surface of her skin, manifesting as a sudden, heavy emotional freeze that completely alters her vibe. To catch this in the real world, you have to become a master of observing the exact millisecond a new variable enters the room. You need to watch her face with absolute precision the very moment another attractive woman approaches you or gives you direct attention. No matter how calm or collected she claims to be, her facial expression will completely harden for a sharp split second before she can catch herself. Her jaw might clench slightly. Her posture will instantly stiffen up and her focus will snap like a laser beam directly onto that interaction so she can thoroughly evaluate the threat. She is tracking how close that woman is standing next to you, how loud you are laughing, and how much eye contact you are giving back. Immediately after this happens, she will almost always pull away and become uncharacteristically distant and quiet. This sudden silence is her psychological defense mechanism. She is retreating into her shell to protect herself from the deeply uncomfortable realization that she cares far more about your attention than she is ever supposed to. Conversely, depending on her personality, she might completely flip the script and go in the exact opposite direction by becoming suddenly intensely competitive. The moment she sees another woman encroaching on your space, an alarm goes off in her subconscious, and she will abruptly jump right into the middle of the conversation to subtly reclaim your attention and pull your focus straight back to her. She will casually drop innocent sounding questions into the mix, asking things like, "Oh, who was that?" or "Have you two known each other for a long time?" But if you listen closely to the underlying frequency of her delivery, her voice will carry a distinct, unmistakable tightness. It is a sharp defensive edge covered up by a fake smile. This deeply subconscious, highly territorial behavior is the absolute clearest indicator that she has quietly claimed a massive piece of emotional real estate around you in her mind. Even though she knows she has no right to claim that territory, her biology treats you as someone she cannot bear to lose to another woman, exposing the forbidden truth she is working so incredibly hard to hide. Genuine, deep vulnerability is an incredibly intimate emotional doorway, and it is a boundary that a woman will never, under any circumstances, open for a man she feels absolutely nothing for. For a woman, filtering who gets access to her inner world is a basic survival mechanism. Most men she meets will only ever see the polite, highly polished, surface level version of her. But the exact moment a woman begins granting you selective, unrestricted access to the thoughts she hides from everyone else, it means her emotional boundaries are actively bending, shifting, and reshaping themselves in your direction. This psychological shift does not require a dramatic movie moment or an intense, tearful late night confession to be real. In fact, it almost always starts in the smallest, most casual ways imaginable. It begins when she completely bypasses the superficial small talk, the standard polite updates, and the scripted pleasantries that she hands out to her coworkers, acquaintances, and everyday friends, and instead chooses to tell you exactly how her day really went. She will open up and hand you her genuine frustrations, her unedited childhood memories, her deepest personal fears, and her raw future dreams, all because something about your specific masculine presence makes her feel uniquely safe, deeply validated, and intensely understood on a level she isn't finding anywhere cross.